Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service. This is the only show in the metro area that talks about real estate, construction, business expansion, growth and development, fun things if you care about Omaha's future and making the city more vibrant and prosperous. We want to thank our sponsors for making this possible. They are Dingman's Collision Center with 4 metro area locations and D&M Roofing and Siding, the top-notch best roofer in the metro area for both commercial and residential roofs. And now, without any further ado, time to bring on my co-host, a man who is legendary in his real deal-making prowess and acumen, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, everyone.
Oh, good morning. Happy spring. You know, we needed that rain last night to end wildfire season.
Well, I think that the pre-party, there's a gala last night at the new Kiewit Luminarium. Last night they could have called it the Kiewit Illuminarium, given all those the thunderstorms and the lightning. Did you see the horizontal lightning?
I was kind of just sitting at the dining room table sipping a margarita last night, doing a little bit of reading on my laptop. And I live out west, as do you. And in our area, we didn't have too much of it, but further east, apparently on the east side of Omaha, a lot more rain than we got out west.
The sky was lit up. It was very
I heard a lot of thunder.
Kind of pink. But it was like some of the horizontal lightning looked like trees. Some of it looked like forks. Mm-hmm. And I've never seen so much cloud-to-cloud electricity. It was so cool.
Gosh, I should have. Sometimes during storms, I get the lawn chair and sit on the edge of the garage where I'm just close enough where you don't get wet, but you can still see the sky. Should have done that last night.
So I talked to some friends that were at the Luminarium, and they said it was amazing. And I would highly recommend that people get on their website and sign up for the timed entry.
Yeah, the first day of business for the brand new $100 million Kiewit Luminarium is today. We're going to talk in the second segment today with Deb Ward. She is the executive director of the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau about the Luminarium, the impact that it will have on tourism in Omaha. We'll also talk to her about Steelhouse Omaha, which is opening in May. We'll talk about the 2 new riverfront parks and the fact that hotels last year in Omaha had record revenue, all-time high revenue. But before we get into any of that, we have a restaurant review this week. Sarah Baker Hansen is the official reviewer of Grow Omaha Eats, the series of restaurant reviews that we run every other week. And this week, Sarah reviewed Isla Del Mar. Headline is, at Isla Del Mar, fun seafood comes with pops of bright flavor. Isla Del Mar is authentic Mexican seafood. The original location is at 36th and Q in South Omaha. And just about a week ago, the business opened a second location in West Omaha, 132nd and Center Northwest corner in the same strip center as Dave & Buster's. I've not yet tried Isla Del Mar West location, but a couple of days ago, Thursday, I popped my head in, and the owner happened to be there. She gave me a tour. First of all, huge. The restaurant,
15,000 feet.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest restaurants you've ever seen in your life. Bars, it's like a couple bars, colorful. They have a what do they call it? A pasteria is where you make bread or something like that. What is that? Pasteria. I'm close enough. Then they also are going to have a fresh seafood to go counter there. It's not quite open as of last Thursday, but where you can buy, carry out raw, fresh seafood, take it home and cook it. So if you want to read the review, just go to growomaha.com, click on Eats, E-A-T-S on the navigation bar. You can read that review that Sarah Baker Hansen wrote about Isla Del Mar, as well as all of our reviews. And of course, they are brought to you by Cheer Athletics. And Omaha is really fortunate to have one of only 12 Cheer Athletics locations in the world. They started in Dallas, and they are the #1 premier all-star cheerleading gym where you teach competitive cheer. They do competitions and all that. It's definitely the Cadillac of the business. And if you want to check out the facility, gorgeous facility they have in Omaha, it's in Papillion at just southwest of highways 50 and 370.
I'm excited to see Isla Del Mar out west. We went to the one on 36th, north of Q, I believe, and it was good, I remember. But it is big and bright, and It'll be interesting to see how they do out west.
Yeah. Like I said, I was blown away by the tour, and then I'll have the family out there for dinner or something within the next few weeks and give that a try. Well, Trenton, I guess without any further ado, we should go into our news of the week. It is, as always, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. Holly Schneiderwind and her team at Eagle Mortgage do a very good job of listening to their customers, figuring out what they really need, working very hard to match them up with the right loan. That's the nice thing about using a mortgage broker like Eagle Mortgage. They can shop a lot of banks instead of being tied to just one. That allows them, as I said a minute ago, just to get you the best solution. And I don't care whether you're looking for the conventional, the FHA, the VA loan, whatever. They'll help you with all of those, get you that pre-approval letter. The housing market is still very interesting, shall we say. There's still not enough houses out there. So while not quite as crazy as it was a couple years ago, it's still kind of crazy. And so you want that Eagle Mortgage security and feelings of safety behind you as you go into the house hunting rat race.
It takes a good couple years to take a farm and turn it into a single family development, and that's assuming that you have utilities to the development. Then you've got the infrastructure, and you got the financing, you got the grading.
And it's taking even longer these days with
all the planning. Yeah,
there's just no one to build these subdivisions and these houses. The labor shortage in construction is terrible. Well, let's get into this news, Trenton. Beginning April 24th, Farnham Street from 48th to Saddle Creek Road will close till traffic until late November. And this is all for a very good and exciting reason. It is to make accommodations for the future University of Nebraska Medical Center Saddle Creek campus, which is going to be a massive shot in the arm to Omaha and the state of Nebraska.
I see how you did that.
But and that was completely accidental, no pun intended. And also in preparation for UNMC's expansion, City of Omaha plans to negotiate with business owners near Saddle Creek Road and Leavenworth Street to acquire property necessary for road and sidewalk improvements. They're not ruling out the use of eminent domain. But basically, this Farnham Street closure, the work at Saddle Creek and Leavenworth, this is all necessary because the new Saddle Creek campus, eventually Project Next, and the UNMC administration tower, which will break ground here pretty soon, probably going to create a hell of a lot of traffic. And so we have to make sure that things move through there and are safe for pedestrians and all that sort of thing. So there's going to be a lot of changes.
I guess they're also looking to make sure it doesn't flood.
Well, and that is an ongoing problem on that Saddle Creek corridor. I mean, after all, there's a reason why the road is called Saddle Creek. The creek is in a box culvert underneath the surface of the road. And then also very related to all of that, the World Herald about a week ago had a real nice article about Project Next. That's the multi-billion-dollar project on a 7.5-acre site on the southeast corner of Saddle Creek and Farnham. They've been grading it. They removed the Monroe Meyer Institute and the old J.P. Lord School. They're still doing a bunch of foundational work. At any rate, the article said that things are going well there. We're still waiting on a bunch of Washington, D.C. bureaucratic garbage before we can actually start. Yeah. Well, there's
funding, I guess.
Yeah, Department of Defense, Health and Human Services, and Veterans Administration are all in it, and they all have some decisions still to make. It looks really good. Omaha's almost certainly going to be the very first location for these 5 disaster preparedness hospitals around the country. So it's all looking good. In fact, the article had a quote, demolition and site preparation funded by philanthropists were completed for significantly less than anticipated, allowing contractors to do more to create a structural base than expected. So slow. A lot of this is federal government dependent. It's going to happen from what the experts are saying, but we have to be patient.
Given a lot of the things that the United States government funds, I think that this one is important.
I would argue it's more important than a lot of them. So the former Nobby's store in Bel Air Plaza, 120th and West Center Road, will be converted into an indoor entertainment center with a full restaurant and bar. Worley Enterprises, which has prehistoric putt, medieval putt, developing Fat Putter downtown at 10th and Capitol. Well, anyway, that company bought the 32,000 square foot building Todd Schneiderwood and Brian Hartman from our office at NAI NP Dodge represented the buyer, Worley Enterprises, by the way. Fat Putter, their new project at 10th and Capitol, is supposed to open around May, I believe. And then once that business opens, they can start working on Nobby's, and they're thinking probably a 2024 opening in which Nobby's becomes an indoor entertainment center.
Well, for Michael Worley, it seems like he's got a good thing going with about 5 of these indoor putting places that cater to families, and the newer ones are going to have bars and restaurants and things like that. So he's really entering a whole new era in his business, because it's one thing when you have 1 or 2 employees there with indoor golf and that kind of stuff and snacks. It's another thing when you have a full staff and you have a bar and restaurant.
Full bar and restaurant, yeah.
But it's exciting. Good for him. You know, that Nobby's building is like 30,000 feet or so, and there's a lot he can do in there.
Well, yeah, it's really cool when you think about the explosion of indoor entertainment, because just last week on the show, we talked about Spare Time Omaha, which is going into the 50,000 square foot former Gordman store, bowling lanes and all this sort of thing. And then also there's another business called Fowling Warehouse. Fowling, Fowling, Fowling Warehouse. It's a mashup.
Bowling with an F.
Yeah, it's a mashup of football and bowling. And they plan to open a location in an existing building at 5585 North 90th. That's basically the 90th and Fort area. But essentially, instead of rolling a bowling ball down the lane, you chuck a football at the bowling pins and knock them over with a football.
This is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen.
This location will have 30 Fowling lanes, and existing locations of Fowling Warehouse are in Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, Indiana, and Texas.
So this is a franchise, and kudos to our friend Dan Fishburne, who's a commercial real estate agent. We usually don't tout our friendly competitors, but we have a lot of friendly competitors, and he's been working on this for a couple of years. His client, Mark, stuck with him, and I showed him some spaces, and I never thought I'd see it happen, but it is going to happen. I know some of these have bands, and they have a bar, and we'll have live music. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, so those are 3. And then we've also talked about in the past about Smash Park, pickleball-based entertainment facility.
Smash Park has broken ground.
Out of Des Moines.
Yeah, and I think I sent you some pictures. They're grading out at Southport West, and that's right as you go into Cabela's to your left. But they're going whole hog on the 4-acre site, 25,000 square foot. And then next will be a Home 2 Suites next door to that. But there's still a lot of land out there. And then also, if you're driving in, instead of taking right when you're about to take a right, instead of going to Cabela's, that will be a Panda Express.
And then another indoor entertainment center, indoor-outdoor, that's planned for the area, Chicken and Pickle, out of Kansas City with multiple locations nationwide, plans on coming to Omaha as well. So we're going to have a lot of these big blockbuster entertainment centers. Very fun, very cool, very exciting. Going to take our first break of the hour, and when we come back, we're going to bring on Deb Ward. She's the head of the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau. Going to talk about Kiewit Luminarium, Steelhouse Omaha, the downtown parks, hotel revenue up last year, all sorts of tourism and convention stuff. It'll be interesting. Stay with us. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals and Trenton Maggot at your service. The show's brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding. D&M Roofing and Siding recently did their annual giveaway a roof for a Veteran Day, in which they choose a worthy veteran and provide that person with a free roof as a way to thank that veteran and all veterans for their service. Just love what D&M Roofing does, dndmroofing.com. Well, we're going to talk about convention and tourism. It's one of our favorite subjects to talk about because A, it's fun, and B, it brings in a lot of money for Omaha without a lot of cost. And we have with us an expert, our good friend Deb Ward, the executive director of the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau. Good morning, Deb.
Good morning, fellas. How you been?
Good. It's good to have you back on the show. I was looking at the calendar, and this is hard to believe, but it's been several years since we've interviewed you on Grow Omaha.
Well, we had a little thing called the pandemic, and maybe that impacted us a little bit.
Yeah, it took a little bite out of your business, probably about as much as any during that period of time.
Yeah, no kidding.
So Deb, I do have to talk to you though when we speak about the business side. Recently read a couple weeks ago that Omaha hotels not only have recovered quite nicely from the pandemic, but last year they had their all-time greatest revenue ever in
and
history.
higher than 2019.
Oh, much higher than 2019. Yeah, Omaha hotel revenue hit $251 million in 2022, up 25% from 2021. And as you mentioned, before the pandemic, in 2019, it was a fairly average year for Omaha hotels. The revenue was $219 million, so quite a jump. And everyone says, well, that's because the prices are higher. Well, and that is part of it, absolutely.
And we have more hotels.
Excuse me?
And we also have more hotels, places to stay.
We don't have any more hotels. Basically, the supply has not increased, maybe 0.02% or something like that. You know, when we lost like the big hotel at 72nd and Grover, I always still call it the Holiday Inn, right? But
Holiday Inn Central.
Right? We lost that, but a couple more smaller hotels are going up in those positions. So basically, supply hasn't increased very much. So price for an average hotel room in Omaha did go up, but so did demand. We had about a 9% increase in demand over 2021. So it's a little bit of both.
So, Deb, is that primarily business driven, or is it convention visitors, weekend travel driven?
Yeah, you know what? It's leisure driven. It's families coming in, it's couples coming in, it's girlfriend getaways, it's guys getaways. It's a huge increase in leisure demand. In fact, when you talk to the airport about last year, they looked out into the concourse and they saw a completely different audience than they had seen before. Typically business travelers, right, and convention travelers. Nope, they saw a bunch of families in the airport. So that pent-up demand and all of that money we saved during the pandemic, it's still making an impact. People are traveling.
And the more events we get, when the zoo gets a new attraction and expands, when Steelhouse Omaha opens up, now the Luminarium opened today, all these things add. Can you feel the effects of that when there's a big concert in town?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, Luminarium, as you mentioned, opens today. Steelhouse Omaha opens mid-May, and then you've got the rest of the Riverfront Park likely opening in mid-August. From a tourism perspective, even the announcement of these things is making an impact for us. You know, all of the current growth and anticipated growth makes our city a more appealing destination, you know, for leisure travelers, for convention and event groups. And we're so excited because we have a brand new city to sell. You know, it's been a while since the city has had seen this much growth in the downtown area.
This isn't your father's Omaha, I guess you could say.
Excuse me?
This isn't your father's Omaha. It's a new Omaha.
5 years ago, right? 20 years ago was when CHI Health Center was built. We are a relatively young convention destination when you think about it that way. But that's really been the biggest development. And then the stadium. Then we've had downtown. This is just like a huge surge of development downtown. And you know, when you're the organization that's dedicated to promoting and selling the city, having a new product to sell is very exciting.
So I'd be remiss to not bring up your familial relationship with your favorite nephew. He says you're his favorite aunt, and that would be Joel Ward of Twist of Fate Estate Sales, along with his gorgeous wife, Tashelle, who happens to be at 12504 V Street in Oak Hills today and tomorrow for another sale. So check that estate sale out. But what's your earliest memory of Joel Ward?
I don't even know who you're talking about. No, I do.
Yeah. That's kind of what I say about him.
I love Joel. He's actually like my little brother, to be honest with you. I grew up in a huge family. I've got 12 siblings, and Joel is the oldest son of my oldest brother.
Wow.
And he and I were, well, I'm a lot older than him, but we feel like we're around the same age. So yeah.
Excellent. All right.
He's a good guy. He's already texted me this morning.
That's enough on Joel. Let's get back to the show.
Back to regularly scheduled programming. We've got Deb Ward from the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau with us. Deb, with the Kiewit Luminarium opening today, We've heard things like this would be the type of attraction that would draw people from 500 miles. What's your assessment of that? Is that true? And how can we take advantage of that new attraction?
Absolutely true. When you think about it, it's such a unique space. And, we call it it's called the Luminarium, but it really does illuminate the riverfront now. We've had restaurants in there that have come and gone, and there's Bob the Bridge is down there, but this actually illuminates everything and gives people yet another reason to go down to the riverfront. So it's just awesome.
So earlier, Deb, you talked about how the increase in 2022 lodging revenue setting a record was really leisure driven. How are we coming with the return of both just transient business travelers and then eventually, conventions? I mean, because, we obviously love citywide conventions. They're hard to get. How are we coming with those business and convention revenue sources?
We're making headway. Based on our booking pace here in Omaha, we anticipate a full recovery in group business, convention, and event business this year. But understand, we book 3 to 5 years out. So we've got kind of this long window where we're looking at the pace of business and how we're booking. When you look at 2019, our team booked about 161 meetings and events for about $147 million. Last year, we secured about 147 pieces of business for about $136 million. So we're this close to being back to pre-pandemic levels.
Hey, one other thing I want to throw out there before we let you go, Deb. The Steelhouse Omaha and Kiewit Luminarium as attractions make a lot of sense. But I tell you, ever since the Jean Leahy Mall opened downtown, even in the dead of winter, I've been blown away by the activity level that I see on it, especially now that the weather has warmed up. And then you think about adding, the other two parks. I don't know if people travel to another city because there's a park, but the whole downtown area or the whole downtown atmosphere,
the vibe,
if you will, seems to be a lot different than it was a year ago. Are there ways, and if so, how, are there ways that you can capitalize on that, on attracting more people, especially given the fact that so many of our hotels and attractions are downtown?
You know what? We just had a group of 10 CEOs from national associations from Chicago in the city last week, and I'm talking everything from the National Association of Urban Planners to the National Association of Archivists. These groups never would have seriously entertained Omaha before. Last week they were blown away. And part of it is that open space, and they can see activity. When you have an active downtown, you have a successful downtown, and that's appealing to people who want to bring their convention or their event to the city because they want an active place for their attendees.
Okay, I guess I lied. One last thing, super fast. Okay. You have a new office. Tell us about that.
We do. It's so exciting. During the pandemic, we gave up our office space to save money. We've been looking, and we are now in Midtown Crossing. It's a wonderful space, easy access from anywhere in the city. We're so surprised. I live in Papillion. It takes me 12 minutes from my house to get to my office. It's easier access for our partners who want to pull up and visit us. That is our administrative office, however. We still have our Omaha Visitor Center in that downtown 10th Street corridor at 10th and Fardham. So that's where the visitors can go and get all of their information. But, yeah, we love it.
Oh,
it's awesome.
That's great, Deb. Thank you so much. This was well overdue, and I appreciate you bringing us up to speed on so many Convention and Visitors Bureau-related subjects.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Deb Ward, head of the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau. Going to take our middle of the show break for the news. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing and Siding on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals sitting next to Trenton Magid. We are brought to you by D&M Roofing and Siding and Dingman's Collision Center. They have 4 metro area locations, and nobody does a better job of making cars just like new than Dingman's Collision Center. It doesn't matter if it's a little fender bender or a big accident. They work on all of them. And they also have mechanical services as well. So thanks to Dingman's for making the show possible. It's time for the Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight of the Week, which is brought to you by Noddle Companies. You guys know Noddle Companies. A lot of times Jay Noddle, head of the company, will come on the show and talk to us about various Noddle Company projects. And they've got some blockbuster ones like Exarban Village and Builders District, Steel Ridge, Nebraska Medicine Campus at Village Point. Today, we're going to talk about River's Edge. River's Edge, Trenton, is where?
Council Bluffs.
Council Bluffs, right on the Missouri River.
Beautiful artwork, beautiful landscaping.
They've done a great job with it. It's at the eastern foot of the Bob Carey Missouri River pedestrian bridge, right close to Interstate 480, where that Iowa Department of Transportation is doing that massive interchange upgrade, which will make River's Edge even more accessible than before. Anyway, River's Edge, cool project. It's called The Terrace. It is a social enterprise cafe dedicated to inclusion, advocacy, community, and philanthropy. It's being developed with and by Trivium Life Sciences. This is an Iowa nonprofit that helps people with developmental and intellectual disabilities, mental illnesses, brain injuries, this sort of thing. And so this group, Trivium Life Services, is involved in making this terrace. So it's going to be open. It'll be kind of a coffee shop, food, breakfast, lunch. And the actual address is 4201 Rivers Edge Parkway, but that's, I believe, in that three-story office building that's right there in River's Edge.
Where Iowa West Foundation is?
Yeah, Iowa West Foundation is there. And then we've talked about this in the past, but construction is supposed to start pretty soon, I believe, on a really cool recreation attraction on River's Edge. Like it would have like a zip line and rappelling. It's going to be like really tall. You can
like
climb up on it. Yeah. And that's going to be there as well. So River's Edge will only continue to get better and better. I've also seen plans for some more multifamily to be added in that area. So we'll keep an eye. That's going to continue to become a better and a better place on the far western edge of Council Bluffs. And my friends, that is your weekly Noddle Companies Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight. If you want to learn more about Noddle Companies, just go to noddlecompanies.com or Noddle Companies Facebook page will take care of it as well. Well, if you are a subscriber to our newsletter, you noticed that the big story this week was a look back at kind of Grow Omaha topics for the first quarter of the year. Hard to believe we're already in the second quarter.
Year's flying.
2023, moving fast. So we thought it might be fun just to take a couple minutes and share with you the big story topics. And by the way, if you're not getting the Grow Omaha newsletter, you're really missing out.
Shame on you.
You can get it two ways. One, send an email to news@growomaha.com and just put newsletter in the subject line. Or you can go to growomaha.com, click on Market Report. You can sign up for it there and read every single market report that we've ever produced going back 2 years.
It takes about 2 minutes to sign up, and you get a lifetime of free education, free market reconnaissance, and you can impress your friends.
And a lot of joy. So the topics that were in the big story for first quarter development projects, the first one was news about big tech companies. And we start with Google. This was back in January. Google announced that it would expand its Northwest Omaha data center, northwest of 114th and State Street, adding 187 acres to the existing 270 acres before they even built the first building. So that's getting really big now.
Think about Omaha, and this isn't every city where Google comes in and builds these huge data centers and facilities. It's got to do with a lot of factors. You know, well-priced utilities, well-priced land, workforce, and so we're just lucky to have all these data centers.
If you count the Northwest Omaha, Papillion, and Council Bluffs Google data centers, the Omaha Metro is home to the largest Google operational presence anywhere in the United States. Then meanwhile, another big tech company, Amazon, during the first quarter of this year, opened that massive regional fulfillment center at Highway 50 and 370 in Papillion. The next big story to come out of the first quarter of this year was the official groundbreaking for Mutual of Omaha's tower, 44 stories, 800,000 square feet. Construction is now in full gear. In fact, this week, Trenton, drilling has started. They started drilling. Of course, you have to drill down to bedrock, and they've been drilling these tubes and filling them with rebar and concrete. These pilings will eventually hold up the skyscraper, which will, in 2026, be 677 feet tall.
Wow.
Union Omaha pro soccer team during the first quarter announced its hope and intention of building a $100 million 10,000-seat stadium somewhere on the north side. The project could depend, at least in part, in some public funding. That remains to be seen. That soccer team, of course, is currently playing at Werner Park, where the AAA Omaha Storm Chasers Professional Ball Club has played. The exact site for a Union Omaha soccer stadium has not yet been publicly identified.
If there's demand for it, I think it's great. But that's the one thing that'll be very interesting to see if they can pull off and when.
During the first quarter, Nebraska Crossing owners said they hope to expand the popular Gretna property by up to 1,000 additional acres, going after big-time name-brand retailers. There's talk about a regional youth sports facility, water park, hotels, more restaurants, and it would be a pretty cool project. We know Trenton and I are pretty close with Nebraska Crossing, and I think you can say for sure that whatever happens with that project, it's going to be pretty cool. They're going to do some pretty cool stuff there.
And what they've done to that in the last 10 years is amazing, from landscaping to tenant mix and the crowds. And so we're excited to see that there's plenty of land around there, but they've got to attract. The state has to work with them. Hopefully we'll see another off-ramp from I-80. And there's huge potential in Gretna.
And finally, the first quarter brought us an update on the Crossroads project. Sewer work has been completed. Street paving is scheduled to begin in May. And right now, the developers of the Crossroads are working with the city of Omaha to improve both Dodge and Cass Street to accommodate the large numbers of people and cars that will be going into and out of that development. First building should start going up in early 2024.
Yeah, I think that we'll see a lot of most of the infrastructure done by the end of this year.
And we're going to take our final break of the hour. When we come back, it'll be the Turner Construction Lightning Round. Got the list right here. Lots of stuff you want to hear. So don't go away. This is the grand, exciting finish to the show. Coming up, you're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing, and Turner Construction. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And it's time for the Turner Construction Lightning Round. This is where we talk about a lot of things in a short period of time. And Turner Construction makes this possible, makes it possible for us to bring all this information to you. Turner is the #1 builder nationally for healthcare, commercial education, and pharmaceutical manufacturing. And Turner Construction just really is involved in the community. They are involved with more than 30 community organizations here in Omaha, doing such a great job of not only making our built environment better, but the whole culture and atmosphere of Omaha better. So thanks to Turner Construction for making this possible. Metropolitan Utilities District received a $10 million federal grant just this week to replace the final 130 miles of aging cast iron natural gas lines. This is part of a multi-year effort to replace these pipes throughout the city, some of which go back to the 1800s.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is amazing. And you think about if there's one thing you don't want to have leak, it's probably natural gas. So it's a very important, serious safety issue. And
then you'd have to cut the gas.
Good to know that the city's making some progress with that. Lemon Tree Cafe has opened at 7614 Main Street in Ralston. It replaces Sojourn Cafe, which was at that site and closed a couple of weeks ago. I noticed on Omaha Food Lovers this morning on Facebook, several people have already done unofficial reviews of Lemon Tree Cafe in Ralston, and so far, sounds like it's a really good place. Might have to go give it a try. Mangia Italiana.
Awesome.
Boy, tough to beat the food at Mangia Italiana.
Oh, delicious.
That is so good.
It's a trek to go pick it up or eat there, but that might change.
Well, it might get a little easier, Trenton. You're right. They are located at 7516 Irvington Road. They're going to stay there, but they're considering opening a second location. Now, this would be takeout only, Manja says, but the business recently posted a poll on its Facebook page asking followers to vote for Elkhorn, Midtown, Southwest Omaha, Bellevue, Papillion, Ralston, or Millard for a second takeout-only location. I can tell you this, wherever they go, it'll be a hit.
Absolutely.
That stuff is amazing.
And speaking of restaurant locations, Saigon Surface, Spencer Morrison and I in our office just sold the building. Saigon Surface is closed. It's 14th and Farnham, about 2,650 square feet, fully turnkey kitchen. So whether you're a one-off restaurant or a chain, we've got a great location to add right by the park and the new tower.
Renovation is in full swing on Nebraska's first on-the-border Tex-Mex restaurant. It'll be in a former Pizza Ranch building at 8810 South 71st Plaza in Papillion. That's a little ways southwest of 72nd and Giles Road. Dallas-based On the Border has approximately 150 locations worldwide. Ross Dress for Less plans to open its 6th Omaha area store in a former Big Lots store space at 717 South 72nd Street. That's just east of Nebraska Furniture Mart. Opening will likely take place in the fall. And then construction has started on a Take 5 car wash on the southeast corner of 99th and Blair High Road. Take 5 is based in Charlotte, North Carolina, hundreds of locations across the country. And while we're on the car wash subject, Club Car Wash has opened at 22nd and Capehart in Bellevue. Based in Missouri, this company now has 6 Omaha area locations. Trenton, this is one that's involving you a little bit. It is called Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. It has opened in Council Bluffs, and you were involved in that
that's
deal?
a nice little strip center where Scooters is, and they took a space where Great Clips was, and it's right at 30th and Broadway, and the street improvements on Broadway have really helped that area.
Mission Avenue Barbecue, which is a Texas-style barbecue restaurant, has opened at 900 West Mission Avenue in Old Town Bellevue. Again, early reports on Omaha food lovers indicate pretty good place. The returns so far look pretty good for Mission Avenue Barbecue. The Mio has finally opened at 3001 South 32nd Avenue in the former Los Solo Mio building. They opened just a little over a week ago. And I know a lot of people were really anticipating that because right. Los Solo Mio was one of the most beloved restaurants. This has some dishes, I understand, that honor the heritage of Los Solo Mio, but the owners of this new place, the Mio, point out, hey, we are our own Italian restaurant. We're not just a reincarnation.
I can't wait to go there. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, we need to get down there and give that a try. And then the Puerto Rican restaurant across the street from the Mio, I've heard is pretty darn good as well. And then finally, the music is playing, so got to hustle. Home Goods will open its Shadow Lake Town Center store Thursday. That'll be their 4th metro area location. That's it for this week. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, D&M Roofing and Siding, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.